Okay, is that all the past graduates that are in the room? In case we missed someone. All right, I want to thank Colleen again for everything for today. We've enjoyed it so much. And so what we have here is a panel of past partners graduates, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves and then say a few words, and then we definitely have it open for questions and answers because I'm sure you all have many to ask them as you go forward for your first weekend. And Johnna, we'll go for you.
So, what do you want us to talk about and for how long? Because you know we can talk.
Say your name, when you graduated, a few things that you loved about partners.
Okay. Well, I'm Johnna Breland, and I graduated in '97 from Partners, and it has been a wonderful experience. I've told everyone that I've dealt with through the years that it really got me on my start, particularly with advocating and getting on boards and so forth and so on. Our family's a little unique. I have 13 children. We foster to adopt, and 11 of our children are adopted, and 12 of our children have disabilities. When I first came to this, I had just gone through Partners, and just to give you a quick example of how this will affect your life right off from the start, one of our children at the time was 5 years old, and I had just gone through Partners, and I had just learned about the IDEA and all of this sort of thing. And so I enrolled him in kindergarten in the same school where some of his older brothers and sisters went to school. And unbeknownst to me, they unenrolled him and put him in the segregated school where all the children with disabilities went in our particular city school system. Well, I knew that was illegal because I had gone through Partners. So I went and said, you know, you can't do this, and he needs to be put. Well, they fought it, and we ended up going through mediation, and then we had to hire an attorney, and we went all the way up to the 11th hour before they finally backed down and said, you're right, he has the right to go to the same school and be in the same class as non-disabled peers. But what was also very unique about this, and it makes you understand, and unfortunately, I will say in my school system, things are much better because I have children as young as 3, and then I have children all the way up to 36. So I've been in the school system for a long, long time. Things are much better in my system, but we still have issues. But I know when Bobby was going into kindergarten that year, he was basically locked down in the preschool that he attended while we were going through mediation because it was the only preschool that children with disabilities could go to. We had no options at that point. So they tried to kind of, I guess, pacify me by the fact that I have pictures of this, folks. When I went to take him to kindergarten that first day while we were still in mediation going to this segregated school, they had a professionally made sign that said inclusive kindergarten. And I was like, you guys just don't get it, but we'll teach you all about it. So anyway, that was definitely my beginnings of Partners. And from that point, like I said, I've been very privileged to be on lots of things. I chair the DD Council for the state of Alabama. I'm the state president for the state ARC. I sit on quality assurance for state DHR, where I hopefully have taught them a lot about persons with disabilities because a lot of children in the foster care system do have IEPs and have a lot of disabilities, so I've done that. And I don't say that to brag on myself because you're going to hear from some wonderful people up here that do wonderful things, but it's just to show you where you can grow from being in Partners. And I do kind of throw that out to people sometimes. I go, I have 13 children and I can do this. You have no excuse. You can do this. So I just appreciate everything that I've learned through Partners and all the opportunities that I've had.
Thank you, Ms. Johnna. My name is Vonda Reeves. I'm a parent of an adult child with a disability. I'm from Eufaula, also from Dothan, so in the Wiregrass area, and I'm a 1993 graduate of Partners. Betsy Prince was my instructor at the time, and Partner just really opened me up to advocacy, and I learned that advocacy changed from what is to what it should be, and that's when I really started going back to my community and trying to shake things up. After graduating from Partners, then I realized that my son was in preschool, and it was, you know, Part C of 94-142, Part C. So now he's going to have to leave that school, and they didn't have no where for him to go in the city of Eufaula. So here I go. I'm the advocate. See, I'm going to change from what is to what should be. So I set out and I went to the school. I knew I had to have copies of all of his records. I went to the school system. I stood there while they Xerox everything. I needed everything, including the sticky notes that you said about my child. So I took all that information and I went to Birmingham and found a lawyer, and it was Ginger Tomlin. I think she had something to do with ADAP at one time, long time ago. So she was my attorney, and I knew the power of media because of what I have learned from partners. So I contacted the television station in Columbus, Georgia, and told them what was going on. And so they called the school to let them know that all this is going to happen. So they end up, just giving me what I want. I just want a classroom, and you're going to pay me for taking my child to school. So I just told them everything I wanted. And not only for my child, it was like 7 other kids who were not going to have, placement. And that was the first hurdle. The second hurdle was get ready to, sign them up for school and everything. And then I get a call from the principal saying that you need to bring them to the back door. What? No. I'll tell you what, I'll walk them all in through the front door. What door does the kindergarten go in from? The front door. I said, that's the door we'll be entering. So I'll make sure all the kids got in class, and then I left. I was fine then. And because had gone through partners, I began to, people in the community started calling me and asking me about different things about education and what you needed to know. And I became part of the Barber County Concerned Citizens, and I worked with children with their families with disabilities. So we started a support group, blah, blah, blah. And I also ended up on the DD Council, rolled off, came back on, and I also served on the ICC, which is the interagency group for early intervention. So I did that, and I started working at CRS, Children's Rehab Services, in Dalton as a parent consultant. I've been there for 24 years, and I meet a lot of families, and I'm hoping that I'm helping them along the way. And I got a chance to testify at the State House several times, and so I'm not afraid of the camera, nor the microphone. I guess you can tell. And also, I do contract work with Alabama Lifespan and Respite. I do that on the weekend, and so some of the people who are in this class today in the cohort, they are on there on Saturday. So thank you guys for listening to me and being a part of partners. So I hope that you guys will go back and say what a good organization this is. You get good information, and you can bring someone else along. Our motto for Region 4, community practice, charting the life core community practice. I'm a facilitator for that. So is Johnna. She's Region 1, yes, and I'm Region 4. And for Region 4, our motto is each one reach one. So you need to bring someone else along with you.
Hey guys, my name is Wendy Dean, and I am a 2005 graduate of Partners in Policymaking of Alabama. And so since graduating, I'm not going to give you my entire resume, but I will tell you that since graduating, and I don't mind talking about my age, I kind of like it. I like every single second of it, and I'm very appreciative of it. I hope I have another day tomorrow. So I'm 53, and I was in my 30s when I went through Partners in Policymaking, and since then I graduated with my Bachelor of Social Work from Auburn University, and I am working on my Masters of Social Work at the University of Alabama. Just throw in a little diversity there. The single most incredible educational experience that I have ever and could ever imagine having was through Partners in Policymaking. And I say that, I'm not saying that because I'm speaking to you guys. I say it all the time because I feel that way. It was life-changing. And I continue to stay in touch with my partners, and the folks who are up here are my partners, and you guys are my partners, and it will forever be that way. I feel very strongly about it. I was a very strong advocate for its return, and so I'm super excited that here we are in a room together, and I'm so fortunate and very appreciative of the folks sitting over here at this table who invited me to come this evening and speak with you guys. But I do currently work for the State's Protection and Advocacy Agency, and I will get my master's degree next semester. And I have been accepted to do a fly-in in DC where I get to do some policy advocacy. I spent Wednesday at the State House in a meeting, and so there's a great deal that just kind of pops up that you do afterwards that you're so capable of doing it that it's like it's nothing. It just kind of happens and you're okay with it and you just kind of go with the flow but that's kind of how and you'll just know that it's okay. I've got this. And you learn that through each and every month that you're spending all your time, all this time with your partners and with the speakers. And the things that were up here earlier about being on time and having your notes to take and turning off your cell phone, please, I implore you to not miss a second of every single thing that you're going to hear while you're here, because it's incredible. The folks that you're going to hear are absolutely amazing. The history of what's come before us, and you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. And the history of people with disabilities is phenomenal. Where we were then and where we are now, and oh my gosh, where we're going is just it's incredible. It's almost too much to take in. It's so fantastic. So enjoy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tammy Moore. Wow, Partners in Policymaking truly changed my life, and I feel like one thing I've always said is that, you light one candle, you can light a million. And Partners, that's what they do. They light these candles, and we go forth and we light so many more. It starts at home. That's where my passion started, with this young lady right here, right? And you were in school, right, when I was a partner? And the school, they didn't want to teach you anything. They were throwing you crayons, right? What did you want to do?
Read.
You wanted to what?
Read.
Read. She wanted a simple thing. She just wanted to learn to read. Thank God for Partners, because I learned how to advocate for her in school. And I took a partner in crime with me. I always use that term, partner in crime. And it wasn't long. It took a little fight, but they took her out of that self-contained classroom, put her into general ed with a reading specialist, and she was reading just 6 months later. So you can read. Did that change your life?
Yes.
And she texts me all the time. She probably get your number. You might, you'll get lots of text, and she does her Facebook thing. It's a life changer, just getting in the community. So it can start, partners can affect your home, your front porch step. And you can take it into your community too, and help affect the lives of those that live around you, the other students in those classes, the other moms, the other dads, and you can take it a step further and end up on some bigger steps. Here, go to Montgomery and advocate and feel like she says, I tend to be a little shy. Ha ha ha. I can be nervous for the mic though, but you're given the knowledge that you need, and it's really so simple as telling your own story. That's all you have to do is tell your story and end up on those steps. Or you can end up in a tunnel in DC. I've been there too, and advocate on a national level. And I would have never, ever, ever imagined that I would have done any of those things. And I've got quite a list of committees and work groups and boards and all of that, and all that's been great. And I was the director for Full Life Ahead, which I dearly love, and I'm a parent consultant at Children's Rehab. I love the face-to-face, just sitting there with another mom, another young lady, and just educating and giving them my knowledge and sharing so they can go light some more candles. And y'all are going to light so many candles. You're going to it's going to impact you so personally. You, Ashley. It's going to be for every one of you. Sonia, it's amazing. It's amazing. Kelsey wanted to share some things and about how my growth has changed her life, because there wasn't very many expectations, and she just wanted to give you a little word or two. Okay.
Vote.
Say
I vote.
She votes.
A dog.
Look at them.
Yeah, a dog.
She's got a job. How long have you worked, Kelsey, at your job?
No rules.
9 years. You'll see pictures of her on Facebook with her little I voted sticker. What else?
Friends.
Friends.
Money, 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 money.
She makes money, money, money. You have friends. She votes. You do everything. You make your own decisions, don't you? You boss me around. Right? So it's, this is a young lady they told me wouldn't live, wouldn't walk or wouldn't talk or would never eat. She was too fat, and she was uneducable in voting, never. She was unemployable. One of our great agencies who I love so much, I was told by a counselor she was unemployable. But you just go forth and you conquer, and you use each other as supports. Why would we do without each other? Our partners in crime. And I have some good partners in crime stories that involve duct tape and Doritos, and we had a little fun back in '02 when I was a partner. But enjoy and be on time. Just suck it all up, and then give it all back. That's all I have.
Questions? Is that, and we'll bring the mic to you and then bring it back, is that?
Yes, I will. So this is your time, okay? Everybody out here in the audience, I will come around and stop. Whoever raises their hand first, or I will just stop. Somebody have a question for someone on our panel? Melvin.
Well, some of you may know me, you may not. My name is Melvin Watts. I have a daughter. She's 22, has severe cerebral palsy. And so I went through a lot of things, too. So I didn't beat up a lot of organizations over my couple of years trying to get services for my daughter. And this is a question to you guys, or anybody here. When I started out my venture, my journey, trying to find service in different programs, why is it so hard? And, you know, some people get everything, some people don't know anything. And so I have a military background, and I don't take no too easily. So that's why I decided to just beat up until I get what I need. So recently, my daughter's on the waiver list, waiting for years and years. I think after 7 years, she finally got approved for a waiver. Yeah. And what made it even more ironic is that I was trying to help out another parent with their, getting a waiver. And so I said, let me call and check up on my daughters. Well, she was approved 3 months before I made a telephone call. And they didn't tell me. And it was my fault because I didn't check back every week, every month, or whatever. And so my thing is, why is the system so hard for some and not for others? And it should be a right. I mean, if a child is born and they have a delay or disability, my first people I'm going to beat up on, and this is one of my things I'm going to do next, is in the hospital, don't they have social services? And they're supposed to tell you something? That's not happening. That's not happening. So that's one of my projects I'm going to work on. I'm going to hit every hospital in my area because it's not right. Every time I run into a family member, they can't spell social services. I asked the lady, I said, do you know what CRS? She had the deer in the headlight look. Her child was 3 years old. She didn't know what early intervention was. And it's just not right for other people. And it should be a right. And so that's one of my things why now I'm a big advocate. I'm also on the DD Council and a few other too. I think I got jumped into this because I saw the need. And I'm not one to just sit back and let it go. But yeah, this is going to help me and a lot of other people too, because I'm not going to sit back and say nothing. But if you guys got an answer to that, why is it so hard, please let me know.
Thank you, Melvin, for lighting that candle. I think some of those people were here earlier today that could answer that. Yes. Well, they were here. I was so proud that they were here and they spoke to us, so they know we're here and they know we're not going anywhere. We're just building a bigger group. So I was really happy to hear all of them here, and thank you for what you said.
Mine was just a practical question.
Say your name into the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry. I'm Jenny McInerney, and I've met some of you just chatting around here today. And my question was if before you guys all leave here this weekend, if we'll have your contact information like we have each other's in our class so that we can connect back with you guys.
So my plan is to build, I don't have every past partner from Alabama's contact information, but I'm trying to get that, and I'm trying to have all of you and put you into that group and connect everybody. Because like I said, they need to know all of us, and they need all our voices together. That's a bigger voice when we're all sharing it. So yes, we're going to build that database, and we'll start with who's here. Mm-hmm.
Did you want to maybe mention the mentorship, that kind of things in what she's asking?
Sure. So something else that we're doing when we started brainstorming, bringing partners back to Alabama, was contacting the past graduates, and some of them have offered to be mentors to you in the room. Because even though we give you a lot of information, we kind of guide you through it, there's still some people that might say, oh, I just really need somebody else to talk through this and give me some more advice. So we've had some past graduates say they would be mentors. So we are going to do that. And I know we're having a session after this weekend on a Wednesday night. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, and I'll see who are the mentors and if we want to pair somebody up with that. And Johnna has agreed to be a mentor. And Vonda. So those are two mentors up at the front.
Sam wasn't able to come today,
Yes. Yes.
We're excited about that because that's something a little new. Back when I was in Partners, we didn't have that. So we're excited about being a part of that.
Because we also started, when we started talking about this, we got together an advisory council. And that's where, how would that go?
Yeah, when this all came back up, like I said, the three sister agencies became the DD network to put partners together. And one of the things they did, which we appreciated as past graduates, is they put an advisory council together, and they asked several of us to be on that. And some of the people on the council had gone through the partners program, and some had not. We wanted viewpoints all the way around, but we were able to do that. And like I said, one of the things that Linda and Nancy and Daryl asked us to think about was this mentorship a part of it, and we were really excited about that. So at some point when that gets off the ground, we actually came up with some ideas for what the mentors could expect out of you and what the mentees could expect out of the mentors. So we've kind of got that down as well. But we're really excited about that. I mean, I think you can tell from all of us up here that we're very passionate about what we do. I think all of us probably had this passion before Partners. Probably all of us were advocates to a certain extent before Partners, but Partners just gave us that structure to know how to do it properly, how to get our points across, what is the best way to speak to your local people, your state people, your national people. And I think too, you'll find out too, and this will probably come up a little bit more when we start talking about mentors, is that we each have kind of our own little passions. Our children are of different ages, or if we're a self-advocate, we have self-advocates that are of different stages of life, and we all kind of have our own little passions, and we hope that kind of matches up with a lot of you. Obviously, I do a lot of work with foster and adoptive parents because that's my love, and the educational system, the IEPs. I've known Nancy now for probably over 20 years. She's helped me with so many things through the years, and I love that. And selfishly, sometimes your passion comes from what you needed, and as I said, with my son, that's kind of how it started. But now it gives me so much pleasure to meet another parent saying, Johnna, I'm having trouble. I don't know how to do it. And I can say, well, first of all, you have to get a right, not a favor. That's the very first thing they have to do. And then it's like, and then, you know, I'll talk you through this. And if you need me to go with you, I'll be glad to do so. If you need me to contact ADAP, I'll get a question to them. But that's kind of my passion. That's what I love. Like I said, I know other people, we were talking earlier, somebody was talking about housing is definitely, I think Teresa was talking about how housing is her love and passion. Vonda has hers. I mean, we all do, but we're excited to meet you guys and see where your passions are going to lie.
And Tammy agreed to be a mentor also. And another thing that we're very happy to have Alex and his crew. And we're, again, we're just kind of building this and getting great ideas. And so we kind of included Alex and didn't really know how involved he could be, but it's just kind of coming to me and everybody else as we go. As Colleen mentioned too, it's like the practice, microphone is your friend. We're going to use Alex to kind of do a simulation and film you so you can look back and see how you're doing on the microphone, interviewing with a legislator, talking about that. My goal is to have a legislator at every session. So we had one, so we're going to keep building that and let you talk to them in a group and then practice with called, simulation. So we're just going to build that into that too, so you can look forward to that. So you'll be comfortable at the end and see how that goes.
And if they have connections with their legislators, to let you know so that we can try to get some more of them here.
We'd love to hit everyone. We want to, we just want to hit them all, have them all invited to hear us, see us, know what we want going forward. So yes, if you have a connection with them, please share it with me. It's hard to see everybody's hands.
Yes, my name is Jenny Lux. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I got lucky. When I was in high school, they recognized, despite blindness, that I could achieve not only a bachelor's degree in social work, but a master's in rehabilitation counseling once I graduated high school. But I have never forgotten the people that I left behind, my friends in the special education department. And I have recently found out data that IEPs are tracked by IDEA, but 504 plans are not tracked graduation rate-wise. And that is a large section of the disabilities that are graduating per year. I am hoping to start a business consulting with parents and doing person-centered planning, not only with the person, but the family and the community, and interspersing the services throughout with community of practice.
Thank you, Jenny. Any other questions for our panel?
Hi, I'm Kim Spangler. I just have a simple question. Do we get to see and have and take your PowerPoint for review? Can you share your PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'll leave in whatever format you need.
Okay.
So I can, it's already,
We have the PowerPoint, so we can help share that as well.
and I can leave one of the USB drives with folks here. Yeah, of course.
Hi, I'm Veronica McGee, and I live in Birmingham, Alabama. Mine's more of just a lot of thoughts running through my mind, not so much questions, but more kind of just a more clarification and kind of interest of when was the last class that graduated in Alabama? How long ago was that?
I think we just got, what, 2005 maybe?
Right. So I'm just wondering if everybody in the room is thinking about, including yourselves, think about what's happening now and all the incredible, it's almost like supersonic changes that have gone on in the advocacy world and all the issues that are going on, and just the complete more awareness that's happening in our world compared to what it was when you guys were there. So I'm just curious, are there any of you have any individual platform that you are, you said foster but just what's going on currently right now in the world, as far as what comes to your mind is probably the most crisis type subject affecting our adults and our young people with disabilities right now. What do you think is the most crisis type area?
Rolling out my list.
For me, it's diversity, and not just diversity as it relates to your nationality. It's because of the disability. So diversity, and not just a certain age category. It's the whole spectrum for me. So that's my passion, is diversity. Because if you look at a lot of the people who are incarcerated, they also have disabilities. And they are hidden disabilities. So they're not getting the care that they need, because some of them were failed before they were even incarcerated. And with the interaction with police department, that's hard for me too, because what if you are hearing impaired and you've been stopped by the cops, and you're trying to look in your pocket to get your card. They say that you're hearing impaired, and then something happens to you. We've had that situation in Dothan. There was an accident with the hearing impaired driver. The nurse that was at our office, she was behind him, saw the accident. She got out, and he told her that she was deaf. He was deaf. So she was able to relay that to the cops. And so that diffused a situation that could have been worse. So, it's not always the visible disabilities, it's the hidden ones that, bothers me the most. So diversity is for me.
Sure. Yes. Of course, I always have something to say. So, of course, I can give a number one, but also funding Medicaid waivers, more, right now we're the Better Care, Better Jobs Act is being proposed, those amendments. And so I think that's important. Of course, I work on the children's team at ADAP, and so every single day of my life, I'm talking to parents of children with disabilities with regard to their education. And we know that if a child requires special education and related services now, and receive appropriate services, that later on, that's going to give them a stronger foundation. On a personal note, accessible, affordable housing. I didn't go to Partners in Policymaking as an individual with a disability, but instead I applied as a parent of a child with a disability, and my daughter is now an adult. And so I agree that those disabilities that we don't see are important. But again, going back to Medicaid there, so there's so much. Oh my gosh. I mean, I could talk about transportation and employment and equal pay, and I could talk about so much that I could argue with myself is the most important, depending on the day that it is. So I just could never, I don't think, ever narrow it down to one thing that is the most important. But certainly Medicaid waivers, and that has nothing to do with me or a loved one, or well, I guess it does have to do with lots of loved ones, but not a direct family member. But I would say that I would probably put that number one on the list, but it's not anything personal.
Okay. In our state, it's the lack of staff and the low pay and the turnover. And so there's no continuity for a person. And it's affecting across the board quality of life. COVID was horrible because people were locked in their rooms. They lost their rights. I did a tally of all the complaints that went into our ombudsman office, and it was unbelievable how people were treated. How it felt like we lost 30 years of rights just like that because of COVID. So I've got a long list, but if you could dive into Build Better Back or whatever it is, Build Back Better. See, I'm tired. I get to claim tired. I think the beginning was $345 billion for home and community-based waivers. We're at 150 or something. So it'll have a massive infusion into our service system if something gets passed, and hopefully it will. I'd probably take too much time. You're ready?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the things that I get really passionate about is educating people about the money.
She had her
Follow the
eyes closed. She
money,
couldn't see you,
know what these bills are about, so that, just to segue on that, because I just feel that so many parents and people in our community, it's hard to understand these bills and hard to understand how they can directly affect you, but they directly affect every part of my son's life and our life right now. And I don't think there's been any more important time in my son's 22 years than now when it comes to getting some of this stuff pushed through. And this is it. Like, the time is now. I mean, if there's any time when we really get involved, and we can give access to this large amounts of money. And they're listening in Washington. It's now. I mean, we've never had the opportunities now to get the funding like that's laying on the table right now. So that's what I'm really passionate about, is trying to get people, in my community to understand the importance, and my legislators, about these bills coming up in the next few months. But that's kind of my thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to take up so much time.
Although I'm not on the advisory committee, I would like to provide just a little bit of advice based upon actually what was just said. And I know, Linda, we talked about having legislators coming. Also, it might be wise, and maybe you've already thought of this, you probably already have, maybe having Bill Poole coming here, who is who's over the state finances. I mean, he's the one who knows where all the money is, and so works hand in hand with the governor as well as the legislator. So if you get Bill Poole to come here, I think that would be a huge win.
Thank you for that. I have not thought about that.
Is there any way to get a list of who we don't have coming, so that at least we know who we should work towards trying to get?
We don't have anybody coming next. No, we don't. I got one today, so I'm proud of that. So we need more. Yes. So, and we'll take all. We'll turn none away. So.
I don't mean to be depressing. I really don't. But I feel like, well, I know that we were talking about these things in 2002. And those y'all were around or involved. It can be. But I feel like Judy, I think you had said that Judy had said, until we learn that we need to have person-centered care, to follow those things, self-directed. Let her direct. Let's listen. Let's have expectations. Things aren't going to change. And until, like Veronica said, we get the money straight, we put those things together, maybe we'll have true change, that we won't be sitting here another 20 years later and having these same conversations. Am I depressing? Things have changed. I mean, it really has. It's been wonderful. My daughter is living a wonderful life, but there's so much more she could have, in our communities, in our state, and have a better voice and things be better.
And that's why we're bringing partners back, is to raise our voice again. Yes, yes. Ask her a question.
My name is Debbie McCauley. I'm a school principal, and I'm here because of my niece Angelina. She has autism, and that's really what drove me to apply for it. Once my Aunt Joanne recommended that I apply, she sits on the DD Council, and I had questions for her. I used to always just ask her about situations that I would encounter at my school as a principal, and it would always involve students who were who had severe developmental disabilities, and the first thing they want to do, and I'm not trying to throw my district under the bus, but tire tracks be ready. I am a little disheartened that they will take a child and just say, hey, you're going to the resource room, and let it be at that, because, and their argument is always, well, what about the other kids? What about the other kids? They're disrupting the learning of other kids. I'm like, the other kids can manage, pretty well, but why are we depriving them by sending them into this environment? And so I just wish we had more people from the DD Council to reach out to Randolph County, and because these people are saying they have no idea that any of this stuff exists. Yeah, when you have a special ed coordinator that says she don't know anything about PIPA, I'm just saying, yeah. Okay, I'm just saying it's disheartening, and because I have a passion for students. I grew up, my uncle, my grandmother's brother, that's my first exposure with somebody who was considered mentally retarded. Just seeing that in my family and going across, and the first thing they want to do is just put these people away. And so I want to become that voice, and I think I'm going to learn a whole lot here. And one of the things my Aunt Joanne said, she said, keep your mouth shut, listen. Because she knows I'm a little fiery and I get emotional about stuff like that. So I'll be asking questions about how can we help, those kids in Randolph County who are, it broke my heart. I think I called Miss Nancy one time about a situation where one of the kids had to go to the resource room in Wedowee, and they live in Woodland. And so I'm like, why don't Woodland have something on that campus to whereas they can help these kids, and it basically almost destroyed that family. But they got in touch with somebody from ADAP, and they convinced the mom, to put the child in the resource room, and she's still sore about that. But the little girl she's lovely. She can't take the noise, and she'll scream, and when, she'll scream, and it's like they don't know how to help the child. And I just wish we were more knowledgeable. What can be done to help district coordinators of special education to assist students and parents like this in a rural place?
Because you're going to go back and make a difference in your school and your community, and that's going to spread. So, I mean, that's super exciting to me to hear. And that was the other thing I was going to say that kind of segues exactly what you were saying. You are going to learn so much from each other. All the things that you're going to learn from the speakers, we've already talked about. I mean, that's we don't even have to say how wonderful that's going to be. You're going to learn so much from each other because somebody's going to have gone through something that you're about to go through. Or my child's 5, but your child's 20, and you lived that life before. These will become lifelong friendships. You will find out very shortly, a lot of you probably already know this, the disability community is very small. You begin to know everybody. You start sitting on these committees and these councils, and you see these same faces. And I wish it spread out even more. I wish it wasn't just the same faces, but we get to know one another, and we share, and we network. And like I said, to sit here and have a principal sitting here, I know your school's going to change. And I get emotional too. I'm the crier in the group, so you'll have to forgive me. But it's going to make a difference. And I mean, I had a situation with my own principal this year, and I was floored, she was floored. A lot of my children have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, which runs a gambit of things. But when I came in for my child's IEP, it was a brand new principal to my school. And when she came in, she sat down and she said, before we start, she said, tell me a little bit more about Allie. I'd like to know a little bit more about Allie. Well, that's a little bit unusual. You don't usually get asked that right off the bat. So I start telling her a bit about it. And she said, last night I started reading some about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder because I really didn't know very much about it. And I wanted to understand a little bit better. I was amazed. I've had, like I said, my oldest is 36, down to 3. So I've been in the school system a long time. I've been in a lot of IEPs with other parents. I have never had a principal do that. So again, I pretty much broke down and cried and told her how much I appreciated that. But as a parent, that meant the world to me. So I'm super excited that you're here.
Okay, while I'm waiting for another question from the audience, I also want to say that we would, with Alex and his crew, we would like to do some still photos of you, get everybody a headshot. We're going to try and do it tomorrow. So just be prepared kind of thing. We just for each other and in our booklets and to keep that going. So the camera and the microphone are your friends. Well, we can do yours tonight. We can take them tonight.
So my question is this, since, I'm sorry, I'm Janice Filer. Since this is the first time that Partners in Policy Making has come back together for over 20 years, how secure are we going forward, is my question.
How secure are we going forward? How committed for how many years? What?
Is there like a certain number of years and then you have to?
Well, there's a new director in town, like Daryl said, and there's a new commissioner, and Commissioner Boswell, she wanted to get this started. Kind of her idea. She talked to Daryl, and 2 years ago, we started getting the DD network together and we each have councils. We brought all our councils together for a meeting, and we asked them, hey, some questions and answers. And we had several partners questions. When's partners coming back? Could it be happening? And so that kind of started the question. And then Commissioner Boswell came in and she said, yes, let's do it. And let's do it now. And so we were like, oh, are we prepared? Can we do it? Can we get it doing right now? And then, so the legislative session comes in January, a little bit earlier this year, and we're like, we just want to get it started. So let's jump on in and do it. So we have the DD Council, we have the DD Network, and we have Commissioner Boswell all on board. So there is no end in sight. We want to keep it going.
I know it's federally funded, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not federally funded for X amount of years. Or do we re-up every year? How?
It's not federal.
Oh, it's not federal.
And then, once you graduate, 2022, then you'll be able to go out to the community and start talking about the class. So when the next class starts from 22, 23, then they'll be ready to come. So it's like a 10-month program. Then you're going to graduate, and then you're going to be charged with going to get someone else so they can start in partners for 22, 23. Remember, each one reach one, okay?
So I think what Vonda is saying is, as long as we have a big cohort of applicants, we're going to keep partners going.
Yeah. Okay, the funding for this comes through the DD Council, and I chair the DD Council. We have what's known as program planning, and I chair that as well, and that's where we get our RFPs in and we do our grants and so forth. And part of the reason that it died out, and there was probably a lot of different things going on, but part of it is we were kind of being told from the national DD councils that we couldn't continue to fund things year after year after year. It's supposed to be new and innovative things. But what we began to find out is that the other states were doing it, and they were doing it more in-house, or there was lots of different ways, and Colleen can obviously speak to all that much better than I can. But what we decided to do was to bring ours in-house, form this DD network, and that way that we can fund this. So can I promise you the money's going to be here for the next 20 years? Well, obviously not. I don't have that kind of power. But what I can tell you is something else they told us that we're going to do a much better job at, and this is not saying it wasn't done well, but we're going to do better, is the data collection. The feds want to know what, you're spending all this major money, what are we getting out of it? So you guys are going to do that for us. You're going to tell us the projects that you've done. You're going to tell us the legislators you talked to, and it's going to be documented. It's not just going to be anecdotal type things. And that way we can go back to the national DD councils and say, okay, this program is worth funding again. And so, but like she said, the fact that we've got the powers that be that are behind it, I think we've got a good shot at this going on for a long time. That's our hopes.
Harley, you have something to say?
Wait. And thank you for filling out the forms we've already asked you for, because they will keep coming.
Your homework is tedious, the forms are tedious, but that is where we gather data. Even signing in is data. And but like Linda said and Johnna explained, to justify using dollars wherever they come from, we have to say this is how many results we got from that. And that's like Dr. Wick's presentation. It said in 1 year of her count of her partners, 600 calls were made, 55, we need all that. It's tedious, but the homework that we give you and a lot of the forms that we give you is that data. And Melissa Sylvester, she was here earlier, she gathers that and tallies it and all that. But also specific to Alabama, just so that you know for future references, it is a three-prong partnership. That's different nationally. Feds like when everybody plays well together, and that's what we're doing from jump. So that's a good thing. And the other thing is, you said, which is where Linda works, UAB Sparks Center, they have interns, and they're commissioned to train upcoming healthcare professionals and researchers and things like that. They've all watched this through Zoom today, and they're training as they go along. So and Linda, I say we're, developing a training model for those young professionals. So guess what? Hopefully Melvin will have some young folks coming up at the hospital that's like, I'm aware of developmental disabilities, not just because I have a child or a family member, but because I've been taught this finally. So, so we're doing these things. If y'all have any ideas, or we'll keep learning from each other on how to progress this forward. But it is the data collection, just to be clinical about it. But yes, we're in hopes and we're modeling from jump to keep this going. So, sorry, that's just my 2 cents.
So Linda, is there a coordinator? Are you the coordinator? Is there a hired coordinator?
We are still in development. We had to go through a lot of processes on how we're developing this through the network, and it is not finalized. And we started anyway.
So are there funds for that?
We do. So when we get it all situated financially, we will post a coordinator's position. It will be a part-time position to help us do all this. So right now, we're just trying to add it into all of our other little hats that we're doing. And thanks for being patient with us. So, yeah, coordinator's position will be coming shortly.
Mine's not really a question, but I guess it kind of is. Kind of Betty Landry from Mobile. And I'm just listening to what his question was about how it can go forward. I'm thinking, I've got a 46-year-old son, and I've been doing this since almost birth. Literally from not being able to speak until he was 3, and then all of a sudden, we've done speech therapy. You name it, we've done it. Play therapy. And I've had to fight since he was little. So I'm 69. So I'm thinking there's so much diversity in this room. And I think everything and I will say too, I'm a special ed teacher. I'm a retired special ed teacher. I've got a couple of master's degrees in school psychometry and mental retardation and learning disabilities and physically handicapped. So I had a lot of help with knowledge. I did know a good bit of the history because my first degree was in 69 to 73. So the first thing they showed us was history. And I was shocked. That was before I had children. And they took us to state schools, and some of the things I saw, literally it could easily turn you away from it because it scared the heck out of me with what I saw in those schools with, just the different children with all the horrible syndromes and laying in the beds like a room this size would have nothing but cribs in it, and the awfulest disabilities you could imagine. Children that were not children, that were adults, that were the size of children, heads that were this size, limbs missing, just all kinds of things. But I kind of got off task there. But what I'm saying is, when I had a child, it's like, I think all of our children and the people that we're involved with, which is why we're here tonight, that's what's going to push it. Because I was thinking when I saw this, I'm thinking, well, you're 69, you're kind of at the end of this. But no, I'm at a different level in what I need. And I have fought the school system, and let me tell you, when you're a teacher and you're fighting the school system in special ed, for special ed, that is not an easy task. But you just have to, like she said, no, this is the law, and this is what I've got to have, and you've got to give it to me. And I've done that many times, and it is hard. Let me tell you, it is hard, but I got what I needed. My child is, I think I've got a lot of things that other people have not gotten because I didn't take no for an answer. And like I said, I'm at a point now where I'm looking at, you know, what the winter of my life and what's going to happen when I'm no longer here to do this. I'm doing self-directed services with my child right now. And it's changed so much in the last 2 years. There was not so much paperwork when we first started. But now the paperwork involved with self-directed services, and I'm well prepared because as a special ed teacher, it's an ungodly amount of paperwork that you do. And I had retired. I've been retired 8 years, but it's kind of like if I had not had that knowledge, I had kind of gotten away from computer skills. This Zoom is killing me right now. I've got to find out more about it. But no, I'm serious. But when you don't, I was so tired of that computer when I retired. And I took care of my dad for 4 years. That I actually retired before I normally would have because he got sick, and my sister and I had to, he would not come live with us. We had to go to him, so we took turns. And so that's a hard thing too. But I got away from the computer. And it doesn't take long with technology now to get where you don't know what you're doing. You know, that smart board, I was on the end of that, and you know, that was good knowledge. But once you leave, and I did a stupid thing too, is my daughter-in-law told me when my computer crashed to get a MacBook. When you're used to a PC, that's another angle. But anyway, I'm getting off track again. But I'm just saying that I think that's our drive, is what we need in the future, and the diversity of the group and each person needing different things. Hopefully that's how we're going to keep it going.
Good stuff. I'd like to say something. As you guys... thank you for having us here today and allowing us to help in any way we can. As you guys go through this next year with your projects and your advocacy, as you guys hit your milestones, we at Alabama Care would like to highlight those and try and get those to a bigger audience in hopes that there's somebody out in the community. Yeah, Alabama Care is a disability news network. We go live on Facebook usually about 3 to 4 times a week. If we can. So we're not always behind the cameras, but we are a team of 10, some of us full-time, some of us part-time, and some of us contract. And we do kind of long-form content, which is about an hour's worth of content, usually one-on-one with individuals and family members. Some of you in this room have been on a broadcast with me or others. Some of you have created your own content. But I say that to say we have, you know, a pretty engaged community through the Facebook group, you know, over 1,100 members and followers. So as you start to hit your milestones this coming year with your projects and your advocacy, we want to highlight those on that channel and hopefully grow and get others that are interested in those advocacy efforts connected with you. So please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know how we can help.
And also the people that can go on to talk about it are different legislators, different people, anybody else we want to come on that need to be part of the group. We can ask them to do a segment on Alabama Care.
Yeah, we've had Commissioner Well, Commissioner Birdshaw, Commissioner Boswell, Young Boozer, Secretary of State. So if you guys are interested in learning more about a specific topic, we will go and reach out to them and have them on a broadcast. So, we can get those questions answered. It's really cool. So we do it live. So if you guys have questions that aren't getting answered, and maybe there's someone that has that gatekeeping or decision making, you just type it into the live chat and we'll ask it on your behalf live. So. Yeah, so thank you, Jennifer. Everything's on the Facebook page. Jennifer's been on a number of broadcasts with me. So on the Facebook page, Alabama Care, you can just type in Alabama Care and then whatever topic or person you're interested in, and the videos will be able to be pulled up there. You can also do that on the YouTube channel. So once you've done a broadcast, that video you can share in the future, however you'd like, through Facebook or off of YouTube. Been on screen like 200 times.
I just want to say that I'm so thankful and so grateful for partners, and that y'all are doing this without a coordinator is such a blessing. I know, I can imagine, I don't know how, but I just want to say I'm so thankful to you guys for doing that. And I'm so thankful and grateful to all y'all to come out and do this. And I'm so excited that we're not going to keep repeating everything again, right? It's going to get better and better, and y'all really going to have great impact, not only on in your homes and your communities, but the state and our nation. You're just going to blow it away. I'm excited.
Kelsey, have someone want to say something?
No, I like my best friend.
You say
I
it.
like my best friend. My best friend.
Alex is her best friend.
We love Alex. And his crew. Yes, then Cliff. And Cliff. Anything else? Anybody have any other questions? Comment.
So somebody asked in the back about how to keep partners going. And one of the ways that you guys are going to do that, I think it was Vonda who said that the disability world is very, very small. Change that. You know, have these folks who have been on these councils and committees and all of that over and over and who see the same faces all the time, make a change there. Make it where there are different faces. Your face. Yeah. Make it where it's not the same people over and over moving from one committee or council to something else, but have different folks there. Would you guys agree with that we need to make a change? Yeah. So y'all be the change. Absolutely.
Anybody else? Okay, so like we said earlier, we started a Partners in Policymaking Advisory Council. And would everybody that is on that please stand up or wave your hand or make some kind of a turn around all the way through the back? Okay. I think there's 10. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they put in a lot of hours helping us develop that and set it up this summer.
And I was also going to say, as you're going through these classes and you are networking and meeting people, find out what the DD network is made up of. I mean, I know you've heard ADAP and you've heard DD Council and you've heard USAID, but if you're like I was, when I came to Partners in Policymaking, I didn't know any of those entities. I didn't know what they did or whatever. The things that Alex is doing right now was partly through a grant through the DD Council. This is partly through a grant for the DD Council. There's a lot of things going on in your communities right now that you don't have a clue that's what they did. And we're always trying to figure out how do we get our names out there so that families do know who we are and they do know resources. So, educate yourselves, talk to everybody, and figure out what these different entities do.
These are really good words of encouragement, but on what you just said, it's so, so true. A lot of times, all of us have amazing, innovative ideas. We all do. And we all have jobs. We're all busy. I mean, how do I have time, or where do I find the money to bring my idea to fruition, I mean, I know that it's a good idea, and I know what I'm doing, but I've got to find money, and I've got to find help. I've got to be able to quit my job, maybe, so I can not really live this dream that I want to bring to fruition. So, I mean, I just did that. I don't know if I'm going to receive the grant, but I did my first grant writing on my own, did all my own research. I'd never wrote a grant before in my life. It was a pretty involved grant. And so, you just do, you need money. You need money to be able to give you that peace of mind that, I won't, if I'm able to quit my job or work part-time, not quit my job, but work part-time so that I can focus. It's time. Time is money. There's only 24 hours in a day. So you got to be able to give yourself some space. So use these grants and apply for these grants, and they're there for you. I went through a great process. Daryl Mr. Powell was very helpful, very supportive. I reached out to other people who had written grants, and so there's opportunities there. So that's hopefully is one area we're going to learn a little bit more about, is the grant writing, and not just at a local state level, but now I have confidence to do some national grant writing on some things that I'm interested in doing. So there's a lot of money floating out there, folks. I'm just saying, I keep going back to the money thing. There is a great time right now to be looking for opportunities to get money and grants that for things or ideas that you really, really want to do. That's all I wanted to say there.
Any more questions for our panel? Or comments? Yes, thank you. Thank you all very much. If we don't have any more questions, I think we can adjourn for the evening. We start tomorrow. Breakfast is at 8, and our speaker will start at 9 in this room. And then during the breaks, we will, where our plan is to put your 6-word memoirs up, that they'll be rolling through the break. I know y'all put a lot of effort into that, and I have loved every minute of looking at those. They were on Facebook scrolling through today, so some other people saw them, and you'll see them tomorrow. And then we'll have a great day tomorrow, too. Thank you, everybody.